Hello, this is Keith Hubbard with True Principles, teaching families how to heal one choice at a time. And we do that by learning principles. So today's principle is part 2 of last week's video, this myth of you complete me. So if you haven't seen that, please go watch that before you watch this. It will lay the foundation for that, for this video. But the really quick version is that we go around in our lives feeling incomplete. We feel unworthy, or we don't feel we're enough, and that makes us incomplete. And when we are like that, we seek out other relationships to complete us. And when we're seeking out relationships in that way, our relationship is really based on need. And really, that's a relationship addiction, right? So, and that creates all kinds of problems. I'm sure you could imagine what that is. But go watch that other video to get some of those details. So today's video is more about what do we do instead? Well, how do we move from being incomplete and having incomplete relationships, or codependent relationships, to relationships that are whole and complete? And so if this is our visual for incomplete, this is our visual for being complete. And really, at its core, being a whole and complete person is really about what I call emotional self-reliance. So when we're incomplete, we're dependent or reliant upon other people and our circumstances to make us happy. And it's such a lame way to live, because other people have their agency, and we don't have control of tons of things that are going on in our life, in our world, in our economy, or how people think, or how they treat us. And so by living in that way, by living in a way that's dependent upon our circumstances to make us happy, we're guaranteed to live a life that's filled with quite a bit of pain and misery. And so I've made a choice in my life, and I teach my clients to make a choice in their life, to create what's called emotional self-reliance. And what we do when we do that is we have to make a shift in where our worth and our value comes from. Because when we're incomplete, we're seeking validation from the outside world about why we're good people or why we're successful. And in that is an illusion, a self-deception of where real value comes from. Because real value is not created. You don't become more valuable the more money you make. You don't become more valuable the better your relationships are. Or you don't become less valuable the worse your relationships are, or the less successful you are. Your value is innate and infinite. And living as an incomplete person, you're basing your value on an outside world whose perspective and foundation for living is broken. I would encourage you to learn to shift that and understand that your value is innate and infinite. Your value cannot increase or decrease. And I want to encourage you also to consider that your Creator sees you as infinitely valuable and loves you so much. And if you could get in touch with what that really means and develop that relationship with your Creator, you would start to get in touch with where your value truly lies. And it has nothing to do with the results around you. That's certainly not an excuse to not create positive things in our life, or to strive to be better. Because this life is all about remembering our value. And as we remember our value and step into fulfilling the measure of our creation and being who we were created to be, we start to naturally create more value and have more success in life anyway. It's a natural result. But when we're motivated to be successful and create value in order to validate ourselves, we start to create problems. And this is why I often say it's not what we do, it's why we do it that matters. So don't create value for people to validate yourself. Create value because you already are valuable and complete, and you're now trying to give to other people. And that idea of giving is really what that dynamic of being whole and complete is. Because when you are your own source of happiness, your own infinite source of happiness, and understand I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because there's a part of that relationship that has a lot to do with your Creator. And so it's not completely self-dependent or self-reliant in that sense. But it's not based on any mortal beings or any earth experience here in life. But your value has everything to do with gifts and talents and passions that have been given to you through your Creator. And when we can get in touch with that, we start to create a lot more self-reliance, and separate ourselves, at least I don't want to say emotionally, but we become independent. Our value becomes independent from those things around us. We actually end up becoming more able, more capable of connecting when we're living life this way. And so understand that when we're whole and complete, our tendency is going to be to want to give from a true space. So last video I shared this experience about coming in and giving my wife a hug and a kiss, but because it was motivated from the wrong space, it created the pretty negative experience for me and for her. So when I can get whole and complete, I can still do the same thing. I can still give her a hug and a kiss and tell her I love her, but because it's coming from a true and genuine space of I love her, rather than I need you to tell me you love me, it creates a whole new experience in our relationships. And so when we can live life from that space, even if there's incomplete people or codependent people in our life, we are whole and complete, and it doesn't matter how much they try to take from us anyway. We're giving to them naturally. And so this is what's powerful in relationships is, I have a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I need help. Will you help me fix my husband, or help me fix my wife? And usually husband or wife isn't on board, just one of them is on board. And this is why we can start to shift our relationships without other people being on board and learning with us, because we are the ones that are creating that dynamic as we are incomplete. So as we learn to become whole and complete ourselves, we start to change those dynamics naturally. People that are maybe trying to take from you when you're whole and complete are going to start to stop and ponder a little bit more. They're going to start to understand that something has shifted within you and within the relationship. And so when we do that, instead of relationships like this that are based on need, relationships that are based on this are one of edifying. They're ones of want and desire, no longer need and scarcity and survival, but ones of want and desire. And when we live from that space, we are truly prospering. And that's kind of opening up a whole nother can of worms. Maybe I'll do another video on that. But we tend in our culture sometimes to shy away from wants and desires and only focusing on needs. And that actually puts us in a pretty big space of scarcity. And understand that when we're there, when we're based in survival and need, we are living in an incomplete way. So consider these principles and how these are showing up in your life. So my challenge to you is to learn to get your needs met through yourself. Seek out these instances in your life where you're maybe taking, and ask yourself, how can I get this need met myself by understanding where my value comes from? And as you do that, seek to serve and to give people in your life, not from a space of validation or receiving from them, but from a space of simply edifying them and the relationship with them. This will change your whole relationship. So as with everything else in life, if you don't do anything with this knowledge, it won't do anything for you. Knowledge is great and powerful, but applied knowledge is much more powerful. And so please do something with this. If you want to learn more about this, please again sign up for the free e-course here on the sidebar. There's also just below that there's a calendar for upcoming events. Would love to see you at any of these free events to come learn how to shift and change your family. We go into some really powerful tools and processes that will totally blow your mind. You would love it. We have one coming up here in a few weeks, so please sign up for that, and would love to see you there. And as always, prosperity is your choice, so please implement these principles. I would love to hear from you, and put a comment in the video below, in the comment below. All right, have a good time, and we'll take care.